inside Splash Chicago's premier aquarium podcast. Let's give it up for our hosts, Kyle, Glenn, and Brandon Whitecap. This is the Inside Splash Chicago's premier aquarium podcast.
All right. It's a Saturday night. I'm feeling all right. How is everyone doing?
I messed that up again.
That intro was awesome.
Thank you very much.
Every time we start, it's just going to start blasting that out of my other device.
Okay. Did you forgot to mute it or whatever?
Yeah.
Yeah, dude. We always do the echo at some point. That's it's like our catchphrase here. All right. So hashtag get learned, guys. We got some teachers in the building today, and we are going to get learned. We're going to be learning about some ways of getting kids interested in the hobby of fish keeping. We have some amazing guests today. Some people we don't normally get to see. We have my lovely fiance. My lovely fiance, Maya Victoria. We have Brandon Lightcap as always. We have his lovely lady, Nicole, and we have Mike Krautzel and little Mike as well. What's up? You guys want to say hi to everybody? And then we'll start getting into it. I actually, before that though, I did forget to say, because I want to keep myself on some sort of tight leash with the time. Did we confirm how long do you want to stay for this, Mike? I totally should have asked this off camera, but
it's funny. I was thinking like 20 minutes, but I'm having so much fun. I'll stay the full 2 hours.
Okay, for sure. Well, if you need to take off at any time, you let us know. But you guys could say hi to everybody if you guys want to introduce yourselves. I'm not used to introing this many people at once. So how about everybody
I go
knows
first?
you, but you're Maya. You can introduce, and then we'll go Brandon, Nicole, and then we'll go to Mike there because he's gonna have the longest intro, I think.
Okay, so I'm Maya. I am his fiance, Kyle's fiance, and yeah, just hanging out here to talk about some different stuff in the classrooms and learning about students and getting students engaged in this stuff. So very excited to get started talking.
All right, and then Brandon, Nicole, you guys can introduce yourselves, obviously, and the reason we brought Nicole in too.
We back?
Oh, you there?
Yeah. Did we freeze?
No, I don't think so.
Okay. It froze for us.
But I'm
Brandon. You guys all know me, but this is my lovely wife, Nicole. Some of you guys know her too, but I think this is the second time you've been on the camera, right?
This is like the first time on camera. I'm always off to the side.
Yeah.
I don't like the camera.
She's nervous.
So you said that you do preschool teaching, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was?
I'm a substitute teacher.
Substitute teacher? Very
For
cool.
now, I start a new job on Monday working at an animal hospital, so that'll be fun.
Oh, very nice. Very nice. All right. And then
we have fish tanks in our room.
Oh, in the classroom and everything?
Yep, every classroom.
Very cool. And then so we have Mike here, and Mike,
You're first, buddy.
I found you via the most insane video ever. It was like this Instagram short, and it promoted your classroom. And when I saw that, I was like, I've never seen a classroom cooler than a lot of fish rooms before. Like it was insane. And then the fact that it's see, my grades were broken up differently. So it's middle school. It was a middle school, right? Grade school, middle school. You guys call it middle school, right?
8th grade.
Grade school?
6th through 8th.
6th through 8. So
Middle.
Yeah, middle school. The fact that I can actually add myself, and I think you sent me a video that I think I have on my phone, and I'll try to do. I think I can show that. in a second here. But why don't you introduce yourself, and I will try to get that ready because you sent me that short little video.
I'm going to start with my buddy over here. He's going to introduce himself, and then I'll go after him.
Hi, my name is Michael, and I am his son. I go everywhere with him.
So Michael is Michael helps me out with everything. We go to everything from auctions to fish stores, pond stores. We go aquarium center. I mean, we go everywhere together, and we always look at it as an adventure and a good way to visit McDonald's. So my name's Mike Krautzel. I'm a middle school teacher. I've been teaching for 28 years now, and I teach a class that teaches horticulture and aquaculture. And the whole point behind that is to have kids think outside the box, and it combines everything that they do in school. It combines, reading, math, science, problem solving, and everything that you want to teach in your classroom. We actually do it all in our classroom, because in order to keep fish tanks or in order to keep plants alive, you have to problem solve and troubleshoot a lot of things. So in a nutshell, that's kind of what I do. We have about 300 students that take the class, and we have about 800 students that walk through my classroom every year. And there's only 1,100 kids in the building. So I want to say 80%, maybe 75% of our students are involved in seeing fish tanks or aquariums or plants every day. So, it's a great thing for middle school kids. And, I love doing
it. There's the echo.
I muted myself. I don't get why it still goes. My bad. Keep going. Sorry. I'm trying to get a way to pull up your video.
And then real quick, while we got you stopped, is your class in like an elective class? Then they have to choose that class, or is that everybody takes that class?
Brent, that's an awesome question. And it is an elective class. So you have to choose that. And I mean, I don't have the exact numbers, but they say around 800 of our 1,100 students every year sign up for it. You can't, I don't pick them. I don't know how they do lottery or how they choose who goes in, but I mean, I'll teach them all. If they give me more sections, I'll teach them all, because I think it's awesome. I mean, imagine going to school every day and I walk in and there's 30 giant fish tanks. And for a fish nerd like myself, that's pretty cool that I get to teach kids every day how to take care of that stuff.
Yeah. I like to put this in perspective. Like, it's like, you can't even, there's like no way I can share this in like a logical way. It's also got audio in it too, because I remember there's music.
Can you bring it up on your laptop and share a screen?
I have it on my phone, and it was texted to me. And this is why I need a Mac, because if I had a Mac laptop right now, it would be directly in my. It'd be in my
just save it to your phone, send it to your email, open your email on
it's
your
like
computer.
a minute long video though. I don't think it's gonna let me send it. That's what I was trying to do, and I was like, because this, I mean,
get an iPhone, you can AirDrop it.
Could they hit it on my YouTube chat? Like, could they hit it on our YouTube, or if I email it to you?
Oh,
I mean,
you know what?
Yeah, Kyle can pull up the YouTube.
Do it.
Yes, I can.
Yeah, that's a great way for us to get more followers.
Yeah,
and
that's,
yeah, baby.
yeah, dude.
Yeah,
because I am so off my game. This past week has been like a whirlwind of insane amount of things going on.
Kyle, is the YouTube in the description? No.
I think it was, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't see it now. Zen, what's the YouTube channel called?
Fishbait.
Fishbait, one word. Fishbait, one
yeah,
word.
I just I had actually texted it to you.
Right before. I know, but that doesn't translate to my phone.
Yeah, I know, that's the problem.
Or to my laptop.
That's the problem. That's what I'm dealing with too. Hold on, I have it right here though. I got it.
Fishbait.
So, what is the best one to show off?
Let me see if I can find that actual thing, and if I text it to you, will you be able to put it on?
I can't put it from. The problem is it's in my phone, and my computer and my phone are not in communication. That makes sense. I can't think of a way to get the video from my phone. So I have your fish bait channel. So I have the ASMR like South American cichlid tank, but that's just the one tank, I think, right?
Post that in the chat, Kyle.
I'm trying to figure out how to get. You want the actual video that you saw, right? That drew me in.
Well, that or the one, because you had sent me a quick walk around video.
Okay.
And I was hoping to just kind of promo that, and I should have prepared this ahead of time because I was really planning on that. So this is fish bait, which actually I think Jorge actually beat me to. See, I tried adding my phone, but then I started echoing. What is? Oh my god, this is making it all sorts of awkward. I'm sorry, guys, but yeah. Paste.
Yeah. So if you guys all want to click on that link Jorge put in the chat and go subscribe to these guys, that would be awesome.
Yeah. Oh, and that's the water. All right. Of course, my water delivery for today just comes in right now. It's supposed to come. I have a water delivery coming, and it shows up right now during the live stream. My life does like what to. What's up?
You're getting water delivered?
Yeah, like a bunch of cases of water from Walmart.
Gotcha.
So how about this? Let me see if I can do this without playing. Oh, okay, you know what? I know what I did. All right, so you guys are not going to be able to hear me for a second here, but I'm going to play something.
All right.
Because I think that there's going to be audio in this that I cannot play. So let me mute my.
What was it? Fish bait?
Mm-hmm. If you go, you can click on go into our stream. So outside in.
Right to work here. And look, they still do the S. Josh, look, they got the S still. Show them, do the S thing. They still do that. They did that when I was a kid in school. So this all started about 8 years ago when during lunch break, I would go out and I would work with the kids in a garden. And we had such a huge following where kids were coming out of study hall, they were coming out of lunch, they were eating outside with me, and everybody got into keeping plants and learning about gardening. So our principal asked me, hey, this is a pretty good idea. Like, is there any way we could turn this into a class? And I said, I think we could come up with something. And she said, well, what will we do in the cold months because you can't garden? And I said, well, I think we could teach about aquaculture and how to keep fish in the.
Okay, so I think we're back now, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Stuff might be a little bit loud on my end. Oh man, I am looking like an amateur today. I swear, guys.
Yes, you are. That's all right. Hey, Kyle, real quick, why don't you go through a participants list if you could?
Yeah, I mean, everybody knows everybody that's here. I feel like it takes like a half hour to go through the names, and in
But
reality,
everybody likes to hear their name.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, so I never know where the participants.
I just thought I'd throw another layer of difficulty on you.
Yeah, exactly. You guys just throw me through the ringer. Oh man. All right, so we got this right here. All right, so okay. Well, why don't you guys talk about something while I'm making a fool of myself? So, Mike, you have a what? So, the focus of the outdoor pond is aquaculture, right?
So, what we did is we designed a 2-tier pond system, and the whole idea about it was to teach them about how to keep fish outside, and what better way than keeping koi? I mean, what a great thing. And so then we started getting into different types of filtration. And I guess to turn back, the whole point of with our aquaculture program is how to keep healthy water. And if you can keep healthy water, I always say you can keep anything from saltwater fish to corals to African cichlids to goldfish and koi. And so we have 2 different styles of filtration that we use on our pond. We use what I consider Americanized filtration, which is bead filters. We don't use wetlands or bogs, but we use bead filters and UV lights, and then that pushes water up into a Japanese filtration of ceramic media and trickle towers. So you get the benefits of mechanical filtration from the bead filters, but you get the biological aspect from the ceramic media and the Japanese style trickle towers. So the students get to learn about that, and then the different types of fish and what breeders, and the history of koi and pond plants and how to design around a pond. We kind of branch off from there.
So is that all you're keeping out in the outdoor ponds? Is just the koi?
Yeah. So we keep in our. I mean, we just got a 32-inch Yamabuki Ogon. Maybe it's even 36 inches. It took 2 people, me and my son. It had almost like a trash bag. We had to carry it in it. I mean, it was huge. It was so heavy. We teach them different koi varieties, whether it's Kohaku, Sanke, and Showa, which are the Japanese show fish. They're the 3 that are most admired. And then we talk about scaled fish, scaleless fish. So yeah, I mean we focus on koi, and we don't put turtles, or we don't introduce any other fish into our system. Just because bringing in different bacteria and possibly different things. I always say it's a biosecure facility. I have people all the time be like, "Hey, I'm getting rid of my turtle. Can I put it in your pond?" I'm like, "Absolutely not," because there's a lot of fish in there that are very valuable. And you take a turtle from somewhere and just put it in there, you don't know what it's bringing with it. And next thing you know, I'm treating a whole 12,000 gallons of water. So yeah, just koi for now.
Okay, yeah, I was just kind of curious if maybe you had some food fish out there.
Oh, I would love to do that. I would love to do something. It was frowned upon because I wanted to do a tilapia farm, and and then have the romaine lettuce above it, and would feed through down. And then at the end of the year, we were going to have a tilapia cook off with romaine, and they were like, "Not in the school. You're not going to be able to do that."
Oh man.
Yeah, that's actually exactly the reason I brought that up. Is I was wondering if you guys were growing some fish out for some food or not. That's so I'm glad you asked that, Brandon, because yeah, perfect. But all right,
now do you bring the koi in every winter?
No, they stay out there.
They overwinter. Okay.
So we have our pond's 5 feet deep, and I have air stones. And what I do is I push a huge volume of water or air up through the water. So even when it gets below freezing here, there's always a hole in the ice because the water's moving, and it doesn't, frozen water doesn't freeze when it moves. It moves a lot. So as long as you keep an opening in the ice for gas exchange from the atmosphere and the pond, then you can keep koi. The temperatures aren't going to get them. It's the trapped. I forget the term. If you trap the air inside the pond, the gas exchange would be what we call them.
Yeah. So for her grandpa, we do basically all the maintenance on a huge koi pond in the back of his yard, and every winter we shut down the filter, but we always leave the bubbler on, right? That's the thing, just to make sure that surface doesn't freeze over completely, just to keep some of that gas exchange, I guess, and. Yeah, crazy.
some of the koi purists, frown upon the air coming up from the bottom because they do what they say that's what's called super cooling, where you're bringing up the water from the warmer water from the bottom and bringing it up to the top, and you're actually making your water colder. But I always say, I mean, there's only so much you can do. Like I'm not going to sit out there with a heater or a kettle of water and just pour a hole in the ice all winter long. So, as long, I mean, this is I want to say our 5th year, and we've done pretty good with keeping the koi alive in the winter.
Okay.
Yeah. You're talking about like a trough heater, I think. You said there's a heater in there?
Just a heater that keeps the circle.
Yeah. And when I had like a little mini pond back in the day when I was like a kid, my mom used to use a trough heater, which is like keep a horse water from freezing in the winter. And it just kind of floats on the top or whatever. Keeps like a nice circle of it unfrozen or whatever. But it was a real small pond, so I don't necessarily know how big that would translate. Like
it's the same idea, and they sell them about this big, and
yeah,
it's got like a heating element in it, and it just keeps a hole in the ice, and it's not really to free the frost your water, just for the exchange of gases.
Yeah. All right, so I got this participants list pulled up here. Let's shout everybody out. Thank them for showing up here. We got Jim's Fish, Mexicali, Branton, Lightcap, Ed's Aquatic Exotics, Uncle Smiley's, Redneck Aquatics, Lake Missoula, and Plants Empire, Dirt Aquatics, Price Tag Joe, Cecil Mayberry, Coral Works, The Zen Ginger, CC's Aqua Escapes, Daniel Ingalls, Stephen P. Aquatics, Fish Fam Link, Jeff Pelham's Aquatics, Geek Boy, Outside in Aquatics, I've never heard of that guy, GNC Aquatics, and Skull Aquatics. Thank y'all for showing up and supporting us every week. And sometimes you guys show up multiple times a week just to come and hang out with us. So I really do appreciate all of that. All right. Got that out of the way there. All right. So you guys have a pond outside. You guys have how were you able to get them to allow you to bring all those fish tanks in? How did that start?
I don't know how it just we started bringing stuff in, and it just started growing and growing and growing, and we started with the 75s and 90s, and then we bumped up to 125s and then 180s, and now we're 300s, and I mean we just keep a large number of tanks. There's probably about 30 tanks in there, and they range from 125 gallons to 300 gallons. So there's a huge volume of water. I know that my day starts with orange Home Depot buckets, and I fill up about, 15, 20 of them, and I got to replace water every 2 or 3 days. There's a lot of evaporation. So they've installed like blowers and stuff, and they blows all kinds of stuff out my walls. So, we're constantly, I think we're done with tanks, but we're constantly adding new things. I don't think there's any, I'd add more, but there's no room.
I've heard a couple fish keepers say they're done adding stuff before, so we'll see if that sticks, but soon it'll be like a upside down tank on top as a paludarium greenhouse. And it's not an extra tank, I swear. It's
Well, that's what it's so interesting, because my students were like, "Are we going to try something new this year?" And I said, "Well, we've already done planted tanks. We've done, South American cichlids. I mean, we've added like 4 things this year, and like, can we add something new like arowanas?" And I'm like, you need a lot of space for that. That means I got to bring another huge tank in. And they're like, well, we have room. We'll just put it, we'll just make a second row on top. And I'm like, no, it doesn't. Like, they think that you could just put the tank above another tank, and they don't realize how heavy like a tank is filled with water, and that some engineer would have to design something, not just me building with, with a DeWalt saw and some lumber trying to put it up there.
So have you ever seen Ants Canada?
No.
Oh, they're good. He's cool.
You gotta check out Ants Canada, man. They're a YouTube channel, but it's like discovery level videos.
Okay.
I mean, like the dude, and he shoots like I was watching a live stream recently, and he said that was the feeling he's always trying to convey in his videos. So he does like does all the editing himself and his voiceovers. But he's like a big into insects, and like ants was his thing, like ant farms.
Yeah.
And I remember when you said you were farming worms earlier, that was that triggered that thought of like the Ants Canada earlier. And now that we were talking about paludariums, I just had to bring that up because this guy builds like, I can't even remember how big his I mean, his thumbnails are him stretched out like in front of it or whatever, and he'll always be doing some weird kind of pose or something. And the tank is like double the width of him. So I mean, it's 1,000-gallon paludariums just like in his house, and then he connects all of them together.
That's
with
really
like,
cool.
Yeah, with like tubes and stuff, and it's like it just and it just gives me those vibes of the old school Discovery, like those nature documentaries like Steve Irwin and all that.
Yeah.
Stuff.
Yeah, that would be really cool.
So cool. So you so if a teacher was trying to get a program like you were starting a school, where do you think that they should start? I mean, like how did you because that's really what I'm trying to get is like most schools have no classes that are around anything near what you're trying to teach. Is it spun as just a general biology class, or how do you get that into the curriculum?
So I'm certified to be health and phys ed. So how we do it is the class is called Healthy Living through Horticulture and Aquaculture. So I tie all of my information into how does it impress, or how does it affect your health, and sitting in front of a fish tank while you're stressed out has a calming effect to you. And we talk about that, about ways to lower stress levels and take breaks during the day, and don't be afraid to step back when you're stressed out and find something. And it may not be fish tanks, it may be something else, and find a way to calm yourself and get yourself back and get you in the right headspace to proceed with the rest of your day. So how it developed was they asked how we could tie all of this information into my certification, and that's how we were able to do it, is through health and through mental and emotional health. So it is a health class that I'm teaching. It just focuses around aquaculture and horticulture.
Huh. Okay, so that's even another level of depth to this this whole thing. Like that's so interesting. Because I don't even. So what do you have any thoughts on that, or like?
No, I think it's amazing. I think that because you're in the middle school, 6 through 8, correct?
Correct.
So I feel like with that age group, because I've been working with the 4th and 5th grade, I feel like at that time in middle school, the social, emotional, mental health, and like
intelligence
taking over, like the self-advocacy part of that. A fish tank is not necessarily the quote unquote like fidget that is very highly promoted right now for different social, emotional struggles. But I think that teaching through a fish tank is something that is independent, and you can turn it into whatever you need it to be. You can either sit there and you can look at it and get that from that, or you can work on it and do hands-on. You're working with life and nature, so like that added implement in there also. I think it's the perfect grade, perfect time to introduce such a class or such an idea of a class. It's perfect. I love it.
And it's awesome too, because there's so many people that appreciate it, and it doesn't have to be. Some kids don't want to put their hands in the water, and I get it. They don't want to put their hands in the dirt. I totally get it. But they may be artists, they may be photographers, they may have interest in that. And I have kids send me pictures and like, "Oh, Mr. Krautzel, look at this picture I took." And they took this great picture on their phone, and they blacked out the rest of the tank, and they highlighted the giant frontosa and made that nuchal hump come out towards the camera, and they were like great things. And I'm like, dude, you got it, man. That's a gift. And then like they feel good about and not an athlete, not the smartest kid in the class, doesn't behave very well, but they've got a gift. And if you can find a way to bring out those gifts in each kid, And maybe it's photography, maybe it's art, maybe it's, poetry, written language. They write about the fish. There's all different ways, and that's why I said we try to connect every aspect of education to our program. And we were talking about kids that with social emotional, issues with, and I have a ton of them in every class, and they're awesome. They're rock stars. They're my best workers. They're, because a lot of times, sitting still, like, I don't know if you can tell from me, I can't sit still. I'm having a real tough time sitting still right now, and to be up and moving. And if I'm sat in a chair for 7 hours, I'd be considered a behavior problem because I'd be all over the place. But if I'm in an area where I can move around, I can think, I can problem solve, I can use my hands, I can figure out what's going on, I'd be one of your best students. So, putting kids in situations to be successful, I think as educators, as you guys know, is really what we should be doing.
I really think that aquariums kind of become like a microcosm of a greater like connection to the world, because there's so many different ways of looking at it. Like you look at an aquarium and different people are going to see different things. Like people are going to see plants, people are going to see fish, people are going to see Latin names of plants, people are going to see Latin names of fish, people are going to see the rocks, people are going to see wood, they're going to see the super tiny organisms in it, and those different parts, what I mean, are going to speak to different people in different ways. Like you said, like photography. Who would have thought that getting into fish would bring out, the photographer in somebody? Mm-hmm. Controlling light. The fact that they thought about positioning of the fish and getting that depth of area of field and shot, and like that is that's really special, and kids don't get get pushed into that in a lot of ways. So that is really cool to think of, just the very vast different ways that this little glass box right here, big glass box, whichever, can get you to interact with the world. I mean, we see that a lot here. We have a lot of different artists and people that just latch on to different parts of the community.
That's awesome.
Dude.
Sorry,
Love the ferret.
Willow wanted the ferret to say hi.
That's so cool.
Yeah. For a preface, we both have daughters that are named Willow. Just by chance, we ended up meeting like on Facebook, becoming friends, and then found out that we each have daughters that are named Willow, pretty close in age. So kind of fun little connection there. Just and that's wild caught Willow back there.
Mm-hmm.
Has she told anyone they suck today? When we do giveaways, that's her catchphrase. You suck. You got to get off the wheel. She's a star of the show. She's being a little shy right now, but hey, kiddo.
Say hi.
You won't be able to listen or hear
yeah, you got the headphones on. But
she wants yours.
So, yeah. So we I guess.
So,
do you have a frame? Oh, what's up?
I was gonna say I've got a question. So these kids that come to your class for their first class with you ever, they don't know anything about the class. What would be the pitch to them that you're like day one of your class? Is there like a thing that you go through to kind of break everything down that they're going to be in for, or is it just kind of come day by day?
When you come into my classroom, all the lights are off on every day, and I have giant JBL speakers that blast music that you could hear all the way down the hallway, and I have strobe lights going off. It's almost like you're at a party.
You got the fun class everybody wants to be in.
I want to be there, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's so when you're coming into an environment that is different than anything else that your day is going to be involved with. And I try to set it up like that so that it tears down walls before walls can be put up. And, we spend the first 2 weeks and we talk about mammals. We don't talk about fish. We don't talk about plants. We talk about how to treat other people. We talk about how you want to be treated, and we break down all kinds of walls so that we're all on the same playing field, except for me. I'm a little bit above. And then, then once they realize what's acceptable, what isn't, then we start talking about all the interesting topics. But I think for the first 2 weeks, we really focus on, rules, expectations, what is expected of them, at all times, what to touch, what not to touch, and that's how we start every year. And like I said, for the first 5 minutes of class, you can't hear anything. It's so loud in there. And I thank God I have great people around me, teachers around me that don't complain and call the office, because I'll play Jelly Roll at a volume that is so high that you can't even hear the person next to you talking. And then after about 5 minutes, I turn it off, and then boom, we get started. So it's a good time.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to really break that like have like a barrier, like let them leave the world behind, go into the classroom, and like that transition, creating that for them. That is I come from like the family entertainment industry. Was like my first like big thing was that we and her actually met working at a roller rink, right? And when we took over, we were like studying family entertainment and everything. And there's this concept in Disney that they do, like the Disney World theme parks, I guess. I've been there once, haven't been there since I was a kid, so I don't really remember this. But I guess there's like tunnels leading into there. And that tunnel, like leading into the parks, there's like these like transitions or whatever. Those things are they're there. Like they're these like long transitions to break you away from the reality you came from and enter into the reality of Disney, right? And it's like those they're like physical transitions. I don't know how else to describe it. Like, when you watch a movie, you have like a digital transition, you have like a weird kind of like a fade or whatever, something like that. But those are like physical transitions in life, and I think that those are really kind of important to kind of get your like brain ready to start learning or kind of or separate yourself from, because I know school is an escape for a lot of kids. We've definitely learned that, and I can't imagine what that would feel like, getting to escape from home, walk into a classroom like yours, man, with the music and just like that reset is like, I could imagine that does absolute wonders for some of those kids, man.
In our family group chat every morning, I'll send something at like 6:30, 7 o'clock, and it's my classroom, and the lights are going off, and the music is, and I'm like, wake up to my college children, and then my other children, and they're like, that's ridiculous. Nobody at 8 o'clock in the morning wants to be listening to that kind of stuff. They always tell me. But I'm like, you can't fall asleep in this room. And then pretty animated too. Like I'm jumping around. I usually had about 60 to 80 ounces of coffee in me by that time. So I'm bouncing all over the place by that time. But Brandon, you asked an interesting question earlier about what is the first thing we talk about, and from the educational standpoint, educational side is we spend about 2 weeks on the nitrogen cycle. And you talk about if you're not into it, if you're like, it can't get more boring than a nitrogen cycle for 2 weeks. And we find a way. We find a way to push through, and I make fun of it, and I make fun of myself, and I'm like, if you want to be successful, you have to master this. I'm like, and then we go through the terms, and then they actually have to test the tap water. And they're like, why are we testing the tap water? I'm like, because that's the water you put in. And if you don't know what you're putting into your tank before you test your tank, because they do an adopt a tank day where they get to adopt a tank, and that's their tank for the semester. And it's funny because they have to bid on each tank. And if two people want the same, then they got to rock, paper, scissors off to see. And then there's a big circle, and everybody's like cheering for someone to win the tank. And it gets pretty crazy. But the nitrogen cycle is where we start, and we spend about 2 weeks on it. And I said, once you master that, you can keep whatever you want.
Have you ever had anybody come in and already know what that is?
Yes, because the same kids take me in 6th grade, 7th grade, and 8th grade if they can. So they're like, are we doing a nitrogen?
Like the very first, so like a 6th grader come in, and do they already? I guess, do you have any kids that come in and are already accustomed to fish keeping?
I've had 2 kids in 8 years now that have had a pretty good idea what's going on, but they still didn't understand the nitrogen cycle perfectly.
Okay.
We had to fine tune it a little bit. But I mean, these are kids that have, that are great. They keep 4 or 5 tanks at home. And but what's awesome about our program, on a side note, is all the people in the area that know what I do, especially after the holidays when they're done, like around this time, they're like, all right, we got our kids a fish tank for Christmas and we don't want to do it anymore. Can I drop it off at school? So I've got 55s, 90s, 75s. I've got a row of them. And all the kids have to do is their parents send me an email and they're like, hey, listen, we want to try a tank. And I do an adopt a tank where they come, they pick up. We've given away probably 70 to 80 tanks in the last 2 or 3 years where kids have gotten full setups. And they come after school. I meet their parents, they pick them up, and off they go with it.
So you are like a factory for aquarists. You are just producing aquarium. And dude, this is exactly. We had a live stream like 2 weeks ago where we were talking about like just how do you get people more interested, and you're doing that. It was literally meant to be, like seeing your short and everything. It's like I man, I can't believe it.
Well, how long they, and that's what I said. Like I said, guys, I said, you're gonna be into it. You're not gonna be into it. You're gonna be into it. You're not gonna be into it. I said, because right now you don't have a checkbook. You don't have a credit card. I said, everything you're relying on is mom and dad. And sometimes mom and dad can't give you $50 to get the nice fish. I said, so you got to start, and that may get boring. And maybe you got to start with goldfish or tetras, or, and not saying that tetras are boring. My tetra tank's one of my favorite tanks, but, we're not starting with like these big elaborate tanks. And like the kid, like, this stinks, man. My fish keep dying. Well, you got to upgrade your filtration, pal. You got a 90-gallon tank and you got a small, little hang on the back filter. You're not cutting it. And he's like, well, I don't have money for it. I'm like, well, I'm not giving it to you. So you got to find a way to get it, And if you want to up your filtration, you'll have more success. Are you cleaning your tank? You're doing water changes. And, kids sometimes they're too busy. They're playing multiple sports and, they're into different hobbies, and, taking care of a 75-gallon fish tank and doing a 20% water change is the last thing on their mind on Saturday morning and Sunday morning. But so like I was telling them, you're going to be into it, then you may get out of it. But then 2 years later, you may get back into it. I said, don't be discouraged. You're going to fail probably more times than you're going to be successful. But just stay with it and, enjoy the fish while you have them.
So
go ahead, Kyle.
Well, I do want to make sure we talk about this because I want to make sure we go back to it. You said that the kids adopt, so each kid in a classroom, right? So you have a group of how many in a class? 25? 20? What was that?
34.
34. Oh, 34. Okay. So that's so you have a group of 34 in that they all adopt like a tank for that classroom kind of thing. So every period.
Yes. They usually buddy up with somebody, or they'll get in a group. Like if three kids want to take a tank, they're responsible for that tank for the semester.
Gotcha. And then so that's trying to envision. So that's like kind of like their they own it. Do they get to feed it, or does that switch up between the different periods and stuff?
So it varies from semester to semester who's in the class, because I've got a lot of scratches on my tanks now that I'm not happy about, because I always talk to them about not having to go down into the sand and then bring it right back up. And, the acrylic tanks, they'll scratch like that. And then, sometimes the black substrate sticks to the magnets. So they're like, scraping the thing. So I got to, I judge who is putting their hands and touching the tanks.
Okay.
But for the most part, it's their tank to like be in front of, observe. Like I said, I'm not a computer guy, but Google Docs, like we create a running doc, and if they want to keep up with that doc, it's like a diary. So
I was going to ask, do you guys have them taking notes on like stuff that happens or anything that they observe?
Yeah, and that's kind of they'll do their water tests and they'll have the results. So they'll have a running doc with me that they just add to the doc every day. Like January 21st, we measured our water quality, our nitrogen was this, our ammonia was this, and then they'll take pictures and put it in. This is what I liked and what I saw, and then maybe February 2nd they'll do another entry of what they scored, what their scores were, what they saw, what they need, maybe something, the filters need to be cleaned or whatever, and then we take care of it from there. But they create a living document that tracks their tanks.
Very cool.
So I guess that would tie into what I was going to ask. What is like the curriculum then? Is the adopted tank, that's what they're being graded on, or?
I have the kids pick their own grades.
Okay.
And I say, it's not my job to tell you how to keep an aquarium if you're successful or if you're failing. I want you to grade yourself. And they grade themselves, and they're pretty honest about it too. Like, hey, I did a C job today, or I did an A job today, or and what I have is our classroom has folders for each type of fish, and we try to knock off as many as we can. Like we still got half our fish to get through, and I'm supposed to be going outside to start plants soon. But I got to figure out a better way to do that because if you're keeping the Tropheus tank, I don't want you doing the Tetra tank assignments and learning all about Tetras, because all of our fish are cataloged and what they are, and there's pictures and how old they are, and I want them focused on their Tropheus tank. So I've got to tweak it still. I mean, it's 8 years in, but I'm still working on the best way, for the kids to get the most out of it.
Yeah. Isn't that life, man? Just we're always trying to figure it out as we go.
That's my saying to them. I'm going to treat you like an adult until you give me a reason not to. And for the most part, they do what I ask them to do. I mean, they know, because once they cross the line, they know that their freedoms go. So, word after 20 some years of teaching is, if you come in and do what this guy asks you to do, it's a pretty good time. If you try to go the other way, then it's not as fun. But
it sounds like it's almost more of like a Socratic seminar kind of style, like you guys are more of like maybe that's probably too specific of a word, but more of just like I had like a physics class that was like this, where it was more about like a group, like learn, like I don't even know how to describe it. It was so, I don't want to say less structured, but it was kind of less structured as far as like, it wasn't just about memory, man. We were talking and having really solid discussions.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't just memorizing facts. It was like really like critical thinking about subjects. Like we'd have something, and then everyone, I mean, it would be really more of an open panel discussion about like what we're learning for the day and stuff. You guys have stuff like that, or you guys have a day, like a specific lesson? Because you said it's like health and healthy living and everything. So you guys have specific lessons about stuff like that?
Yeah, I'm really lucky because my administration gives me the leeway and the freedom to explore many different ways to educate these kids. And I know that that's not always the case in every school district. I have a lot of freedom to, work within my framework and try to get the most out of these guys. I'll give you an example, and parents love it too, because it's coming up as we're going to be going over how to pull weeds, and it's a multi-billion-dollar industry in how you can make money if you can control weeds in a garden. So the assignment is to go home and take a picture of your parents' flower bed, a before picture. Then you have to pull 5 weeds and identify the 5 weeds. And then you have to weed the bed after you're done, and showed me the weeded bed.
Nice.
And then you grade.
Oh, the parents love that.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Are
much.
they paying you or something? Like, are the
What
parents
school
tipping
my
you
daughter
behind
used to go there.
So parents will email me all the time, and they'll be like, "Thank you so much for the weeding assignment. I got my front bed done this weekend by my son." But to me, like my guys, like that's that's part of their jobs every day, is to take care of the house, and it's to do things. And but no, I mean, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, like how to handle weeds. And if you can learn what they are in your area and how to get rid of them, like some of the weeds have the runners that go underneath, and if you just grab the top, you're really not doing anything, because then 7 shoots come up. So we talk about how do you get rid of that, and how do you take care of that. And so from an educational standpoint, I have a lot of freedom to explore with these kids, and there's no like, you've got to teach them this way, or you've got to teach them this way. It's kind of like get the information out to them, and you know, they trust me to do that.
Curriculum is a tough one to work around, I guess, like, because curriculum's dictated by state, right? So you like
Correct.
you were, yeah, because we're Illinois, we have like Common Core curriculum out here. It is it's depending on how you look at it, could be a mess. You could love it.
We're the same way, but I think there's gray areas where you can tie things into, and
I think you have a special skill at that. That's what I'm learning about that. I'm really digging the way you are. Yes, I love it. I love it.
and that's the thing, like, and you guys, I mean, in life, there's really no hard, fast rules. Like, you know what I mean? There's gray areas and everything. And as long as you're taking care of the kids and letting them grow and learn, and you can tie it into how it's written, if it ties into the core curriculum, how, you know, like the Illinois core curriculum, I think it's on how it's worded when it's presented, you know, in your curriculum. I'm not the one that words it. I'm terrible with writing the words. Somebody else is doing that much better than I am.
Are you paying Little Mike to do that one too? Or
video, he would definitely.
I know he's the brains of the operation over there, right?
Yeah, I'm very lucky. He's a good buddy of mine, and he helps me out with a lot of things. What do you think about our class, bud?
I was gonna say, is he in the class?
I have
We talked for like a half hour, and he's actually part of it a little bit. So I wanted to, let's right.
Okay.
We didn't say that on live, I don't think, right? That was before.
That was before, yeah.
Yeah. So,
like, when you walk in, you just hear music all the time, and like the lights are off, and next, like, there's lights everywhere. So like I would see like lights everywhere, and I couldn't handle it because there's so much music, and like he's playing the music like I think max.
Oh yeah,
max turns it up to 11, right?
It's like 6:30 in the morning.
There's a speaker out that we're bringing to our classroom, hopefully by the end of the week. It's a JBL Ultimate Party speaker. It's about 4.5 feet tall, and it's about this wide. I have the 320 hooked up. I was listening to before the podcast. That's my 320, and the lights go. I mean, it throws its own light show out. So the Ultimate is like 10 times that size. I'm bringing one of those in. I have one at home. I'm going to buy one for school, and we're going to really. I'm hoping I don't break the glass in the aquarium. I mean, it's going to be that. Like, we're going to really rock. We're going to go wild. But no, the kids have a good time, and when kids complain that the music's too loud, you know that it's loud.
And I guess we talked about this because we talked for like a half hour before we talked for like 20 minutes before we even got Brenton on, and then like 10 15 minutes before we went live, right? So I'm trying to remember exactly. We didn't bring up the fact that you're like a personal hobbyist, right? I don't think we actually mentioned that. So that is one thing that makes you very special as a teacher, as you actually have the personal skill to bring that to the kids. Like, you're not just like the average Joe Smo teacher. Oh my God.
Which I was going to ask if you kept any tanks at home, or
just wait, man.
Is it all at school?
I've got 7 large tanks in my basement, and I try to mirror most of my collection at school. So I've got a ton of peacocks and haps. I've got a ton of Mbuna. I've got a ton of Tanganyikans, ton of rainbow fish. And I just started collecting South Americans down there, because if there was ever a day where something went wrong, I usually get to school at 6 in the morning. The kids get there at 8. So if I were to have a massive catastrophe, I could get them out, get to my house, get the fish back into the tank, and the kids wouldn't even know it.
Huh. Okay.
So I try to keep it like, so I have like in my basement a stocked like supply of fish ready to go in case something ever happens where I can do a quick switch and kids would never know the fish passed.
They can
Very
have a
nice.
little funeral though.
Yeah, so I'm lucky because my wife is like, why do we have 7? I always tell her it's my laboratory downstairs. Oh, that's nice. Somebody said something really nice. It came up in words on my screen.
Yeah, I have I've been really focused on the conversation and some of the background stuff, and I keep forgetting to pull up some of these wonderful comments that people are saying. But this is really nice. And this is a new name.
I tried, Kyle.
I don't
I tried
recognize
logging in.
Dr. Ted.
I tried logging into StreamYard on my laptop, so maybe I could start starring stuff too. But I can't even get to where I can get into the stream on the laptop, so I don't even know.
It took me 20 minutes to turn mine on, so don't feel bad. Michael had to help me with that.
Yeah. Well, I go to the StreamYard website, and I can create my own live stream. But how do I get into yours, Kyle?
Do you have to do that beforehand?
You'd have to click on the link, because like any guest, if you get yourself the guest link, you can enter it from the guest link and from any device. Or at least you should be able to. Does that make sense? Or am I missing something?
No, it doesn't. I should be able to put the link in on the website though, right?
So Dr. Ted sent something. And it says about real important with the virtual and gaming world, with so many kids spending their time in that. He's 100% right, and to try to compete with that is very difficult because, I mean, that's instant gratification for them, and that I talk about that, like we say, it's a health class as well. So I actually think there's like an addictive part of the brain that triggers when you're doing all these games and technology and all these things, and these companies probably have experts of how to manipulate that so that we got to keep buying more things or getting more, hitting the next level. So to get them to start in a tank and see we talked about guppy grass earlier, that little piece of guppy grass, and then a month later you've got a whole like field of it seems like, to get them to that stage in growth, it's pretty important. So yes, to get them off their technology, I'm going to try to put something in next year, and I got to pass it through my administration, called No Technology Tuesday, and go back to old school pencil and paper and writing down what I say, and actually being able to, not just talking to the computer and have it write a 10-page paper for you.
I've noticed that with a lot of the stuff I've been doing, because I mentioned like the Fishroom punk stuff, I've been doing a lot of like communications with like business stuff. And you get a lot of good feelings from those communications, right? But towards the end of the day, when all of that communication stops, I've noticed that my brain will be yearning for some of those feelings. And I'll go to my phone, and I've really, because I'm a pretty like emotionally aware person. It gets away from me. I'm not 100% in control of my emotions, but I really try to pay attention to how I'm feeling, because I need to. Trying to grow as a person and everything, that's really important. But I'll go to my phone, and I'm just like, it's almost like I'm scrolling, just looking for some good feeling, like some interaction somewhere. And it is a really bizarre thing, and I've noticed that. So I'm trying to set up like certain hours of the day that I do certain things and cut it off past that point. Certain days that I do things, because it's a bizarre kind of thing, especially to notice that directly. It's like my brain is like searching for something. And for a kid, someone that is really young and really getting to know themselves and doesn't know themselves emotionally like that, couldn't even imagine what that could do to them.
It's huge, especially with 6th, 7th, and 8th graders, because they're just discovering themselves. And that's why I want to do No Technology Tuesdays, because if I can get them one day off of the technology device and actually focus on conversation and everybody around, I think that would be beneficial to them in a big way.
You see, I'm trying to imagine what school would be like now if I were to go to school, because I guess we had computers, but they were nothing fancy. And
even if you had a phone, it was like a StarTAC flip phone or whatever.
Yeah, well, it's like
battery.
the Nokia. Yeah, the Nokia.
Or yeah, one of the brick phones.
Green and gray screen, like
flip the screen up and
yeah.
You don't have to write papers anymore. You can just bring up there's sites where you just put your topic in, how many paragraphs or pages you wanted to write about, they even say what the tone of it, can be.
You can AI generate.
That's what he's talking about.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And you just push a button, and then so kids we had to do the assignment before they left the weekend is their midterm assignment, and they have to become an expert in some area of aquaculture. And it doesn't have to be fish, it doesn't have to be tanks, it could be water treatment plants, if that's where your area of expertise is. But they're not allowed to use any technology. They have to handwrite a 3-paragraph essay, and then whatever their area is, they have to create a diorama and figure out how to visually make it impressive. And then on the last day, they have to explain with their diorama and their fact sheet that they hand wrote what their area of expertise is. A lot of people picked axolotls, so I'm gonna have a lot of axolotl experts 3 or 4 days. And our axolotls just bred, so that was pretty cool. So it came in a great season. And what's really neat is, they laid like 400 or 500 eggs. So I had kids, if they okayed it with their parents, they brought Tupperware containers in, and I scraped off, because they're like salamander eggs, I scraped off like 5 or 6 eggs, and I sent them home with them. And now in their 10 or 20 gallon tanks, they can try to grow axolotls out. So that's
Nice.
kind of a cool thing for them.
Yeah, that's interesting you brought that up, because I was wondering if you guys had any like purpose set up breeding projects or anything like that. Like, are you guys actively trying to breed stuff? Are any of the kids like specifically, do they come in and they're like, I'm not gonna lie, that was one of the things that blew my mind when I got back into fish keeping like 3-4 years ago. That's what started this whole thing you see before you. I'd had fish as a kid, never knew you could produce baby fish at home. It just never occurred to me, And then like one day I learned, she got a betta, so I start going online and I'm like researching stuff, and then I learn about like breeding bettas. Like, what is that, dude? You can get a male and female betta, you breed fish at home, and you can make the babies and then see them grow up. And I'm like watching these videos.
So what'd you real quick, Kyle? What'd you think, they were flew in with a stork or what?
This guy. No, for real though. Looking back, it's like, well, duh, like someone had to make them, right? But they had to be made somewhere. Obviously,
the birds and the
fish are
bees
gonna
conversation.
Yeah, but
we do have fish that we've bred, and some kids have taken them home. When we had multiple peacocks, we had a male and female, and then when the female peacock would be holding the eggs, I actually had the kids come over and, milk the eggs out or extract the eggs out of the, however you want to phrase that, out of the female, and she would spit them out or spit the babies out. We had egg tumblers. If they weren't babies, brevis, Lake Tanganyika shellfish, we've had a lot of success with. I'm trying to think of daffodil cichlids. We've had a lot of success with. A lot of times I'll take them down to the local mom and pop shop though, and give them to that guy. But he no longer has his shop because, I figured he would help me out with things that I needed. So I figured, some of the brevis shellfish can go for $15-$20 a piece. And then, if I bring him 15 or 20 fish, he makes a couple $100 for the weekend. So, it just, I don't really keep to me, the babies are a pain. They usually get eaten. So I try to scoop them up as fast as I can and get them to the kids or to somebody local who can sell them and do something with them.
So do you guys do any live food cultures?
You mean as far as like growing, or brine shrimp and stuff like that? Are you talking?
Yeah, brine shrimp, or I have just recently started a nice blackworm culture. I've got a white worm culture. So like various, I don't know, like vinegar eels or
mosquito larva.
Yeah, is that part of anything you guys do?
Well, we haven't really. I have a couple of brine shrimp hatching kits. And I never set them up. I ordered them off Amazon. I got them in, and then time just escaped. So I never, because when I found out that you get baby axolotls. They like baby brine shrimp. So I wanted to grow. I wanted to have that down before I had baby axolotls. The axolotl babies came before I figured out how to do the baby brine shrimp. So I'm behind on that. We grew 2 different types, red wigglers and European nightcrawler worms for our axolotls to eat. So that's pretty much the only 2 live food. And there's a couple of companies that send me like frozen food, that are, really generous with. I mean, I've got a freezer full of frozen food. That cat's pretty cool.
He does what he wants.
Yeah, he's old. He's like what, pushing 20, so he kind of just gets to do whatever he wants.
That's pretty cool. He's 20.
I think we might have just inspired your next tank, man. You might have to set up a saltwater tank and grow out some brine shrimp. Have you ever seen the adult brine shrimp?
I've never seen grown out adult brine shrimp. When our class got started, we actually were all saltwater.
For sure.
Okay.
So we had.
Wow, that just hit. You were all saltwater in there?
Yeah, we were all saltwater. So there was probably 25 saltwater tanks I was taking care of.
No.
Yeah, I was
Yes.
I was there 8 hours on Saturday, 8 hours on Sunday. I mean, it was ridiculous.
Yeah.
So I was like, this isn't. I feel bad. I killed so many coral because I just couldn't keep up with everything. And then it seems like the quarantine process is much more vigorous for saltwater, because like the freshwater fish, you quarantine them, you treat them, and it seems like they bounce back pretty quick if they do have something. But saltwater fish, I put fish that I've had quarantined for like 8 weeks, I put them into a tank that's healthy, wiped out the whole population. Well, after you deal with that for a year or two, you're like, dude, I'm not doing this anymore. Like, I just lost $2,000 worth of fish, So we slowly converted everything. I mean, I was making my own RO water in my shower in my phys ed office, which was like half a mile across the school, and I was bringing it 5 gallons at a time across the school. I was like, this is insanity. I was like, I can't keep up. So I did end up going to all freshwater.
Yeah, a lot easier. That is, I couldn't.
Yeah, that's
not
crazy
imagine.
that you started with all salt. Was there a reason you started with all saltwater?
Yeah, my son, who's in college, he's a junior right now, wanted to saltwater fishing down in the basement, and he's like, Dad, why don't you keep him at school too? And I'm like, all right. And so 2 tanks turned into 4 tanks, 4 tanks turned into 8 tanks. I mean, we had giant puffer. I mean, it was awesome. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you. I mean, we had the most amazing fish in here. Harlequin tuskrasks from Australia. They're like orange and purple and white striped, and they have these blue tusks that come out. I mean, there's some pretty amazing fish in the saltwater, keeping hobby, and it's a shame. And I only have 1 tank left, and it's in my basement. And I had 2 tanks about 3 months ago, and I needed room for South American cichlids. So there was a really nice lady down the street, and I think I handed her probably $4,000 worth of tangs and clowns, and I was like, have fun, keep them alive. These guys are awesome. And she sends me videos once a week of them, so I'm pretty happy about that.
Man, I'd love to do like a clown and an anemone tank, but that's the only saltwater I think I would touch, because past that, I'd be spending more money on 1 tank than this whole fish room cost me, I think.
Yeah, I just like all the crustaceans and stuff like that. A lot of to have a saltwater invert tank would be pretty cool.
Oh, that's a good point too. Yeah, like the turbo snails or whatever.
Oh my God! I mean, you could go wild with that. Just the shrimp alone in that tank. Like, there's so many different, like fire engine shrimp. And then when you were talking about the clownfish and the anemone, I did that with a 60-gallon. I got a clutch of clownfish babies.
No way.
And when they move through the water, they all stay together. Well, what ends up happening is they get older, they start killing each other off, because you can only have 2 clownfish. Or I found, even in 125s that I've had, only 2 clownfish. They find the third one. And then, all clownfish are born male. And then after 2 years, the more dominant one becomes female. And then what's really interesting is if you put another one in that's more dominant than the female, she'll revert back to male. and become the female. So it's
And that's like
it's pretty cool.
the female is always the bigger of the two, right? I was
Correct.
just watching some video about this stuff. Yeah.
There's a YouTube video I was watching the other day, and it was the biggest clownfish breeder in the world. He's in Bali, and he's got things that are like that you don't even see them on the market. And the guy goes through with his camera, and he does an amazing job on his video. But like the colors and the patterns, he hasn't even released them yet to the rest of the world. And he's got a clownfish that's like 25 years old. It's like this big. It's like the coolest thing. It's all black.
Yeah, there's a saltwater shop, Mermaid's Cove or something like that. We went there that one time, and the guy's got like a giant clown. It's like a giant clownfish, and he was saying that they're some sort of special breeding project, probably kind of something similar that the dude knew. I don't know, some sort of line. I don't know anything about saltwater or whatever, but when I saw the thing, I'm like, is that a clownfish? Like, it was just gigantic, and I'd never seen anything that big.
There's tomato clowns, Clark eye clowns, and
Did you say tomato clown?
yeah, tomato clowns, Clark eye clowns, and maroon clowns, and they get huge. They get like that big. But your Ocellaris and your Petricolus, I think they usually stay pretty small. They're generally pretty small.
Yeah, to circle back to the live food culture thing, I think that would be a really cool. I guess if you're running out of new things to try,
It'd be a challenge too.
yeah, something aquatic like the blackworms, the California blackworms.
Yeah.
I mean, 10 gallon tank is all you would need for that, and you can get a pretty decent food culture going. And to watch fish eat those blackworms, it's like they've never seen food before in their life. I mean, it's really cool.
That that is pretty cool. And what's funny? I have these huge trays of, I mean, they're racks, I should say, of red wigglers and then European night crawlers. And I mean, I probably have 1,000 of them in there because there's so many. And I only feed them to the axolotls. Now that I'm thinking about it, why am I not feeding them to the fish? Like they would probably tear them up too. So that's what I'm doing on Monday when I go in.
There we go.
Very nice.
Cool.
You gotta try to post a short of that too, man. Make a little video. I love to see that stuff. But yeah.
Oh yeah, you guys should be laughing like he said he was going to do it. He said it.
Yes. Yes.
But yeah, but we're gonna get rolling out of here.
For sure.
We're gonna take off because I got something coming up. If there's anything you guys need, or you ever want to talk, or again, just let me know. But I really appreciate the opportunity to come in and talk with you guys about this.
Yeah, dude.
This was really cool.
Yeah, dude. Thank you so much, man. I think you're gonna be a friend, man. You got my phone number.
Yes.
Like you said to me as well to you, man. Reach out if you ever have questions, need anything, you just want to talk, man. You got an open spot over here, man. You ever want to hop up and show us some new project you're working on? I'd love to see that pond when you're done working on it too.
Eventually, it would be cool for you to go in there and give us a virtual tour
We would
of
love
all
that.
your tanks at the school. Yeah.
So I don't know how. I mean, I usually get like I said, I get there around like 6:30 every morning. You guys are probably 5:30 still asleep. So usually I'll walk around and I'll be like, yeah, this is cool. This is cool. But yeah, I mean, I could do it when the kids are there. They don't care. The kids will just wave to you, like, I'd love to give you guys a tour anytime.
Yeah. So we'll reach out and we'll set that up at some point. And dude, I really appreciate you, man. We've kept you. We talked for like a half hour, so we kept you long enough here. Yeah, dude. Thank you so much, Mike. And yeah.
Thank you, guys. How do I get? I don't even know. How do I get out of here?
I'll kick you out. How about that?
You're trapped.
Yeah. Actually, if I kick you, I don't know. No, that won't ban you. I'll just kick you.
So there's a little red X too. If you
you could just click the.
Oh, okay. All right. Yeah. I told you my computer's. I'm like prehistoric. You're looking at the last dinosaur here.
Yeah, man. No problem. Thank you, Mike.
Thank you so much, Maya and Nicole. It was nice meeting you. And you guys.
Thanks, little Mike too.
All right. Enjoy your night. See you, buddy.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.
Well, how cool was that,
dude? man, we talked for, I'm telling you, we got on right at like 6:30. We talked. That guy is so much fun. So much fun, guys. Hopefully we get to bring him back on here to do maybe do a tour. He could show off some of his personal tanks too. We didn't get to say this. He's got 3 already built ponds in his backyard, but he's working on a 4th, I think was what he actually showed us like right before. I can't remember when you were able to hop on and in the conversation there, but yeah, dude, he's and I didn't know about the saltwater side of him too, because that's a whole nother level of aquarist. If you're telling me you use saltwater,
that's crazy that he started with salt.
Yeah, dude, I couldn't imagine one saltwater tank. Really, the idea of that scares me. So I couldn't even imagine doing 25 or whatever. Oh my god. All right. Well, since there's the Fish Fam thing going on, which I didn't realize was going to be happening the same night, because we probably would have hit like 40 something views, I bet, tonight, instead of we were hovering right around 20. Why don't we call it here? We'll call it an early night and send everybody over there, I guess.
Yeah, we can do that.
Yeah. Just because I feel like that's probably going to be the main draw. Might as well just we'll call it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
With me.
Yeah, dude. We normally go 2 hours, and to be done at 8:30 on a Saturday would be nice. So instead of 9:30, almost 10 o'clock or whatever we normally get off. So yeah, let's call it a little bit early tonight.
All right.
And I will see everybody maybe Wednesday. Not sure.
Appreciate everybody coming out.
Yeah, dude. Much love for everyone showing up. I hope you guys got something out of that. If there are any teachers out there, let's try to get those kids in the aquarium hobby. Let's keep this thing growing. All right. Much love to everybody. All right.
All right. Later, guys.